Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Right, as per the vote for the next Matchbox build, it was going to be the M-7 Priest, the American self-propelled 105mm gun artillery piece on a Sherman chassis. Well, I say Sherman chassis, it's like a grant or release chassis without the return rollers. Oh my god, we're getting bogged down already. Anyway, let's move on. So we're going to be building this one. It hasn't been opened before. It's a little bit crushed, the box, so Peter, don't worry too much about it. It's not a mint example. We have some nice artwork on the side of what it's going to be like. It's two colour, brown and green. We have a base. Now, I've built this many times. The base isn't the best on this one. I think they kind of phoned it in on this day. It's not great. And there's the British version of the, I think it's called the Sexton, but that would have had the 25 pounder in, I believe. But before we go any further, I think we need to check the tracks, because this might have the silver tracks in. And they really do have a habit of like perishing over the time period that this box has been sealed. Right, let's crack it open. Look at this. It's like busting into Tutankhamun's tomb. Let's hope we don't die of some weird disease. Right, yeah, it is a bit crushed, the box, so it's not the best of conditions, but still want to be careful with it. Let's have a look inside. It does have the silver tracks, I think. Right, let's see if they're flexible. Yeah, they look to be okay. I think we'll get away with them. So let's have a decent look at everything now. Now I think we can go ahead with the build. So the artwork, actually what year is this model? Is it an 83, something like that? This is a 19, come on, where's it? Usually has the date on it somewhere, and I can't see it for looking. 1983, so this is a 1983 version. So we have, it's not the best printed artwork, so we've got the 105mm howitzer, 105mm artillery piece, I should say, in action there. Could have been Northern Italy, or I assume, we're going to go with Northern Italy. Let's see what it says on the back. Yeah, so here we go, Italy, December the 6th, 43, so a good guess there, Neil. So this is what we're going to do, the US 105mm HMC M7 5th Army supporting the British. Mount, I should say, Camino, Italy, December the 6th, 1943. I do like the British one. I've never actually done the British version because the crew are obviously American. Maybe I should do one of them, putting on the Diamond T transporter in the desert colours and pack it up with gear and whatnot. Yeah, it's something for the future to look into. We'll have a quick look at the transfers. I think we'll have no problem with these. I've had no problem with old Matchbox transfers. They look spot on, a little bit thick, but I'm sure they're usable. We'll have a quick squint at the plastic. Yeah, so that's the base. It's not great. It's like a muddy outcrop with a massive Allen key line there and some logs or whatever they are on the outside. The individual road wheels are nicely moulded, as are the bogies. We've got, like I say, we've got three figures. That one is from the old Matchbox 176 soldiers. These other two look like they're originally made for this kit. I've never seen these figures anywhere else. They look a bit, not the best, but they work quite well. As we can see, it's a 1979 sort of moulding, or tooling I should say. Two sprues, this is the other one. Again, nicely moulded, nice detail on the back deck there. And we have not a lot to flash on there. I don't have any problems with this. Like I said, I've built plenty of these, and I think there is an issue mounting the gun. It doesn't fit quite well, I don't think, but it's a while since I built one. So there we go. Instructions start off with the gun, bring the hull together, flooring, back plate on, 105mm, I keep wanting to call it howitzer, it's not. Artillery piece goes on there, your ammo racks, your bits and bobs, your crew go on, and you have different options for the British one and the American one, which is the front. It's got some sort of like extra armour on, extra protection on. And we have the colour call out, which is basically going to be olive drab or like a greeny colour for that one. We're not doing that one, which is a shame. I really do like that. I might come back to that one day. But otherwise, you've got your individual colour call outs there. So let's crack on without further ado. let's see where we're going to start. We're going to start with a gun. So I'll cut the bits off the sprue and then we'll do the test fitting, because I'm already like 5 minutes in this video and I haven't done anything yet. Right, now I've cut the barrel off the sprue and the trunnion that it runs on. Now what I want to do is open up the barrel at the end there, and I'm going to use my scalpel to do it. Now you've got to be very careful when you do this. You can drill it out, but I just like to use a scalpel. So you just get it on the end there and just twist it a little bit. That's not central. You've got to get pretty much central and twist it a little bit. We've got to get a little hole started. Again, don't slip with this because I've got a brand new scalpel blade in here and it would smart somewhat. And basically just work it like that and you get the barrel opened up at the end. Oh, didn't really see much there, did you? So you see, I'll do a little bit more. But it just adds a little bit extra realism. But you have to be careful because I do use brand new blades. This is a number 11 on my number 3 scalpel. And how's that come out? You can't really see it there. But trust me, I've sort of like drilled out the end there. It's good enough you can get away with painting it and putting like a black wash inside it. Now I'll glue the barrel to the trunnion. It's not a really very decent fit. It's not a very positive fit, I should say. So a bit of the old Humbrol glue there. So it's my preferred thicker glue. We'll pop it on there. Oh God, I'm doing this quite badly. There we go. Now I'm not quite sure where it sits on there, so I'll have a quick look further down. So that actually sits quite further back there. So just looking at that image there where the barrel ends and the trunnion begins, possibly a little bit more. Right, we'll build the rest of that up and we'll see what it looks like. Right, while the gun's drying and its gun mount there, and I'm going to have it like at a degree of probably about 25 degrees, something like that. We're going to have a look at the hull itself, which is built out of like 4 or 5 pieces. So that's the bottom plate, which has got nice detail underneath there for such an old kit, and one of the side plates again, and it's a real nice positive fit. 3 grooves for it to go into, and what I'm going to do is get some glue again. Be a little bit liberal, don't have to be too careful, and just pop it together like so. Make sure you get a decent 90-degree angle on it. Give that 5-10 minutes, then we'll get the other side on and the back plate, and we'll have a nice square structure, and then we can move on to the next stage. Right, so that's the 105mm all made up. That's quite decent, reasonable detail. Oh, where's it gone? So we've got reasonable detail on it. Got elevation, trim wheels as well. So that's not too bad. Next thing I'm going to build up is the hull itself. But like I say, I've got the 2 side plates and the bottom plate together. I'll put the front plate on next to try and square it up. As you can see, it's not brilliant fit there. There's a bit of a gap there. So I'm going to, once that's dry, I'll flatten that off and put a little bit of filler there. The other side, it's a little bit slightly more rough, but again, that'll clean up quite nicely. A little bit filler in there, clean that seam up. Then I'm going to put this back plate on. It's got a nice positive fit where this goes. That pops in there and that'll square the back end up, and then from then on we can build the rest of it up. There we go. So that really just squares up the whole model nicely. Let's move on. As you can see, I've built up a little bit more. I put the running gear on, which goes on very nicely. The inner part of it's already pre-molded on the side plate, so you just put the road wheels on and the outer plate, and it looks very, very good with the return rollers. Simple as that. I put the drive sprockets on, transmission cover, and I put one of the transmission cover sort of bolt flanges together there, but we'll come back to that in a second. Have filler, put a little filler on there and on that side. Now I've built a few of these before and I don't ever remember filling them, but maybe it's just the slightly older molded one. I've put a bit of filler on there as well, and just got a sand stick to flatten it off, which I'll show you on this bit here. So basically a Flory model sand stick. I don't know if they do them anymore, mind, but it's really good because you can get a nice flat 90-degree finish on it. Let's get that a bit closer to the old camera or the old telephone, and really you can get a nice smooth finish there. So I'll finish that off. there's a couple of plates to go on and covers I'm wanting to go on the back plate. What I want to show you as well, a little trick with the tracks, if I can find it, where I put it. Where, there it is, over there. So I really want to super glue these together to give that a bit of extra strength there. So what I do, I get my little pot lid I use for like using super glue. A drop of super glue on there. It's quite thick, this stuff. So a little drop on there, so it's manageable. I've got a little roll of wire and a little bit there. So what I do, I'll just show you. I'll just dab a bit of super glue on there. Put it on the inner bit of the track there as well, and a bit on there. Now the best way to do it is to like lay it like that. Maybe get some tweezers or something, just a bit of weight on it, just to like hold it. Of course it's not doing it now with these ones, try them ones. No, it's still not doing it. Put a little bit more weight on. Typical. I've already done one, then I thought I'd demonstrate this one. It's not wanting to play a ball. No. Right, I'll just mess about with that. I'll come back. So basically, you just want to put a bit of weight on it so it holds it in position, and let that set. And there we go. I've got two tweezers pressing down on it so it'll glue them together nicely and give a nice strong bond. Right, as you can see, I've done a little bit more. I've got the gun in, some other bits and bobs inside. Got one side of the track done. Now I'm going to show you how I fit this track here. Now it gives you the advantage of why I've super glued them together. So it's super glued down there. I'm going to put that at the bottom. Best way to do these tracks is to go around the drive sprocket first and get it to fit in amongst the teeth. Just get that in like so. And it's a really good fit. Look how good that is. That's meshed together lovely like that. And carefully over the rear drive sprocket, or idler wheel I should say. This is the bit you don't really want to bust things off. The other side went on no problem. This side's been a bit tight because it's not the strongest of axles. There we go. So it's over now. We just need to get the teeth to mesh over the idler wheel, which I'll do that in a second. There we go. Done it. And we'll get it to settle down. So you can see there's quite a sag in the track. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to prime it and then super glue it on there, and then super glue the track onto the return roller as well, so it looks a lot tighter. So we're going to have a little bit of sag, pretty much where it should be, and it looks like it's nice and secure and snug. So we'll get that on. I'll get the rest of the bits in and then we'll have a look at it, and then we'll get some primer on it. Oh yeah, I've still got these bits to fit, which are these like crate items that go on the front. Now I assume they're for like spare track, so they go on the front here. I assume they're for spare track. I've never actually seen any spare track on them. It looks like little crates, but I'll get them on. If you know what they are, just leave a note in the comment. We'll get the rest of it built up and then we'll see where we are. Okay, there we go. So that's the track super glued down and they look a bit better than just flopping about. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to give the model a complete coat of this green from Revell. It's Revell 65. It's like a matte green, although it goes on a bit sort of like eggshelly, so I'm going to give it a quick blast of that. Then I'll paint the tracks just a sort of darky brown colour. Then I'm going to give this a matte 82, like a dirt airbrush around the bottom to just give it some idea of mud and dust and dirt on it. And then we'll come back and we're going to do some washes, dry brushing, detail paint work and the transfers. Right, now the next thing we're going to do, as you can see, we've got some green on it and I've painted the tracks, so like a reddy brownish colour, and I've painted the base just with some sort of Vallejo mud sort of colour. It was actually one colour out the tub, but it's a bit thin, so it's gone a bit patchy. So what I'm going to do now is put some mud on it, and I'm going to airbrush this matte 82, this Revell. It's one of my favourite colours for like mud. So I've got about 50-50 mix in the airbrush with cellulose thinners, low pressure. And what we want to do is basically just skirt around the bottom, bit up the side there, just where the mud would gather, where the dust would gather, maybe a bit on the mud guard there. Same on that side, try and keep it consistent. And then again on the front mud guard. and kind of up the side. What you want now to spray up the side, like hold the model at this angle and then just sort of flick the airbrush up a bit. And as you get nearer the back, a bit thicker, so that's coming across a bit. Yeah, so it's coming across okay, and you get a nice sort of build up at the bottom. So when you come to dry brush it, you can get a nice edge along there. Simple as that. Right, I'll go do the complete model and then we'll come back and see what it looks like. But you can see you get a nice faded effect there. And that's the effect we get. So we get a nice build up of dirt and dust around the running gear. Again, not really want to overwhelm it because I want to go with washers and dry brushes. And it looks okay. Obviously a bit of dust like on the front deck and in the interior, because the things, obviously when it goes up, when it fires, it's going to kick up quite a lot of dust. Now, the reason why I sort of weather it slightly before I put the transfers on is because I don't really want to overwhelm them. It's such a small model. I like to do a little bit weather and then put the transfers on and then go with washers and dry brushes. I've done a little bit more on the base as well, just a bit of that dirt colour to match up the model to the base. And next thing we're going to do, we're going to put a little gloss coat on where the transfers go, and we'll put those transfers on, but I'm not expecting any issues. Matchbox transfers really seem to be pretty good. Before we put the transfers on, we really want a nice glossy shiny surface, so I've already given them one coat of the old AK shine enhancer. It's very, very good. You can just basically brush it on. It's quite runny, so just be careful. So a little soft brush and just let it do its thing. Simple as that. Obviously try and not get many air bubbles, but they tend to pop anyway. So I'll do that, and on the other bits where the transfers are going to go on, and that's the effect we get with the second coat. It does darken down the main coat somewhat, but at this scale I wouldn't worry about it. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to put the little star on the top of the bodywork there, the front plate, which is this one here. So I've already cut one from the transfer sheet, dunked it in some water. I'm pretty optimistic I'm going to have no problem with these transfers. I really have no issues with Matchbox transfers. Well, I've just dropped it in a cup of water. Let's get it out of there. And hopefully it should come off the backing paper anytime soon. I think the last one I did, it was quite out of register. And they weren't brilliant, but they worked well. But like I say, they were out of register, but I think these ones have been printed pretty well. We'll just keep working it. There we go, and it's coming off. So that didn't take long for it to come off the backing paper. And this one looks like it's printed nicely in register. So there we go. We'll pop it on with my scalpel like I always do. Make sure there's plenty of water on. Absolutely dump it with water, that'll be okay. And there's a little bit of the backing paper come away with it, so you can see like sort of white residue. You get that on some old Matchbox transfers, so just whip it back off the model and just basically run it on your finger to get rid of all that backing paper or that adhesive or whatever it is. And we'll go again. Like I say, these are pretty robust transfers from Matchbox. Stood the test of time. Bit of some on the tank. We'll get rid of that. Just wipe it down with some water. Pop it into position. Line it up as best you can. I'll say I like to use a scalpel blade because it'd be pretty precise with them, and it's very unlikely I'm actually going to tear the transfer. So a bit square on. As you can see, there's a little bit of overlap there, but we'll trim that off when we put some transfer solution on it. But for now, we'll put the rest of them on, but they look okay, no issues. Okay, let's have a look and see where we're at. The transfers have gone on and settled down quite nicely. I did put a little bit of microsol and set on there just to settle it in, but otherwise they look pretty good. I don't think they're that accurate. That white band looks huge on these, but they've gone on okay, no issues, no silvering, and they seem to sit nice and flat. So the next thing to do, I want to give the model a little wash. Oh, hang on, I've done a bit on the base actually. So I just used some of Vallejo water base paints and just sort of, I'm not quite sure what this is supposed to represent. So I've like done it like wood chippings kind of piled up, but I'll do a bit more work on that. These are going to be like logs and stuff, so obviously a lot more work to be done on there. I might put a bit of grass on it and bits and bobs, and I've painted the Allen key that colour, but again we'll weather it all down. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give it a little bit of a wash, which is my own made wash from these oil paints. So the main one is the, no, not that one, it's this one here. So it's the raw umber is the main base of it, which is probably about 70%, then about 20% brown, and about 10% lamp black. Maybe not as much as that. It's quite strong, that black. And then just thinned it down with your normal white spirit. I think mine's from B&Q or somewhere, so that's what I use. Just a bit of white spirit, and you can get it like sort of like a watery consistency. So I'll just put a little bit on the base just to give you an idea of what we're looking for, and a bit on the tank. Then I'm actually going to go wash the cars after I've done this, so I'll let this dry. So I don't want to overwhelm it. Just sort of dab it on a bit, and see how it goes into the recesses and darkens that bright sort of cut wood down a bit. And again, you don't want to flood it or go over the top, because you can always go over it again. And basically that's all we want to do on the base, and we'll do the rest of that in a minute. As for the priest, I'll do the side. So the idler wheel there, you can see what we're doing there. One of the bogies there, I might go over it and do it again because it's a little bit thin, this paint, but it's all right. And the other bogie there, right. Okay, I'll go ahead and complete the rest of it, and then we'll come back. You don't want to overload the track too much because it doesn't react too well to white spirit. Just bear that in mind. Right, I have done the rubber road wheels, which I did a little section on how to do it, but I totally forgot to press record on the old phone. So basically it's just black paint, Humbrol SM302. It's my go-to for that sort of thing. Thinned down with some normal white spirit, and basically just bit on the brush, just dab it on. Capillary reaction does all the rest. So I've done the engine grills and a little bit of work on some of the tools as well. Not over the top, I haven't done too much with it. And for the tracks, I've done a thin down coat of, again, Citadel Agrax Earth Shade. Just thinned it down with water and just brushed it on the tracks. Now it's pretty much dry. Next thing is a dry brush, this is my paint of choice, Buff Titanium. So you just load up your number 8 brush, and you just take off as much as that paint as you possibly can. You really want very little left on the brush. It is pretty wasteful, but you really need to get it in all the bristles on the brush to get full effect. So we'll just try it on the base first and just see how it'll lift the detail. So just carefully run it over the surface, and you can see hopefully how it just lifts the details. Again, it really ties everything together and works very, very well. It's a simple technique, quite an old technique, but it does certainly pay dividends. But like I say, you've got to be careful to not overload the brush, and basically just catch all the highlights like that. And we have a nice effective base. I'm going to do a little bit more work on this, but not much. Just like I said, I'm going to put some like lighter brown on the end of the log, so it looks like they've just been chopped. And I might put a teeny bit green here and there just to like give the impression of some sort of grass growing through. So I've got still enough on the brush there to get some details. So just gently over the surface, and you can see how it just picks out all the details, and it's a very nice effect. Again, you don't need to go over the top, otherwise it just swamps it a bit. And I'll just show you on the back deck, because I did the back deck grill with some black paint, and as you can see how it just picks the detail out lovely. That really does lift that nicely. It's a much underrated technique, but like I say, don't overdo it with the paint on the brush, otherwise you'll just get horrible sort of thick lines on it. So I'll do the rest of the model, and then we'll come back and do some detailed paint work. So sort of things like pick out the fire extinguisher, do some work around the breech of the gun, scratches and other marks, and a bit more dirt inside the crew compartment or the gun pit, and we're making nice progress. I'll try and do a little close-up of the effect we get. I'll bring the light down a bit more, so we'll get some nice highlights there, nothing too over the top. Nice detail on the back deck, it just lifts that detail very nicely, and around the interior as well, but I'm going to do a bit more work on that, and the tracks and the drive sprockets and the front end. It picks it up very nicely. Again, you've got to be careful with this technique, don't overdo it, otherwise you'll just swamp the model. but used sparingly like that, I think it does a very nice job. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to give them both a quick blast of matte varnish, which is this from Vallejo. It's my go-to varnish. It's very, very good. It's in the airbrush, not a lot because I don't need that much on it, so I actually thin it with a bit of water and a bit of AK airbrush thinner. So I'll just give it a quick blast just to seal everything in, and it sort of calms it down a bit. Bit on that, a bit on the tank, self-propelled gun I should say. And it just ties everything together a bit better. And then I can do a bit more work on it. Trying to airbrush around my phone, not easy. So I'll finish that, then we'll see what it looks like. See, alright, the matte varnish isn't 100% dry now, but you can see sort of on the front end. I'll get a bit closer. So how when I airbrush the dirt on, so it gives you nice dirt at the front, but the dry brush lifts things like the fuel cap or oil cap or whatever that is, and see how it gives you a sort of different blend of colours there and how it all brings it together. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do a lot more little detailed paintwork, scratches, scrapes, things like the seat bases, instrument panel in there, whatever they are. I think there are ammo boxes in there. And then we're going to put the shells on and the figures in. I'll do the exhausts as well because they'll need painting. Okay, but otherwise I'm quite pleased with it so far. And the base is pretty much all tied in with that matte varnish. Like I said, I might put a little bit of green in it here and there, but I might not. I might just leave it as is because it looks very reminiscent of the box art. But that's where we are. Zoomed in for the next thing that I'm going to do. I'm going to mix a couple of colours. These beige browns and armour. Oh, I've zoomed in a bit too much there. Right, so I'm going to mix these two together on the palette here, because I'm going to sort of like put some dirt marks around the top of the mud guards and maybe the front panel and bits and bobs like that. So I'll just show you what I mean. So a little bit of water. So basically just underneath and on mud guards and things, just going to put some, oh, it's a bit heavy that, but I'll come back to it with some slightly thinner stuff. So I need to thin it down a little bit more, probably lighten it up a little bit more, just to give the impression of like sort of scrapes and scratches. I'll go along the rest of the model with that brown, and then I'll show you what I mean. Like I said, I'll thin it down a little bit more and just lighten it up a smidgen. And that's kind of the effect we get, little chips and scratches and scrapes. So what I'm going to do now is get some Agrax Earthshade from the Games Workshop, which I've got at the lid open already. Get me brush, get some water on it, thin it down a little bit. So I'm now going to work this into like the edges and corners, so like along here, just to add a little bit more of a shadow effect. As simple as that. Now you can see obviously on the gun as well, I've put a little bit of silver on there. I'm obviously going to calm that right down again with some Agrax Earthshade just over the breech assembly and down the recoil mechanism. I'll put a few more coats on there just to dial it down a bit, and I'll continue with this sort of like around where the two sort of body panels meet. Just dab it in there just to add a little bit extra. Okay, I'll go around and do the rest of the model with that. I've zoomed in a bit here so we can get a decent look at the model. I'm pretty much finished this one, and I finished the main body, the vehicle. I've got the figures to do and some other bits and bobs to do, but hopefully you can have a decent look inside, where I've put a little bit of scuff marks on the floor, the checker plate floor. The breech has got some nice wear marks on. It's got some sort of weathered streaks down the side of it, which is using the Agrax Earthshade and just thinning it down and drawing it down slightly. So I've got quite a lot of detail in there for such a small kit. I'll finish off doing the exhaust, but I'll do that off camera because we'll be here all day. But otherwise, that's the vehicle done, and I think it looks quite good. All these techniques I've used, you can use on larger scale models. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put the shell cases in, which they're in tubes rather than just bare brass, which it shows you on the box art. But I thought it'd be fun to cut out 3 of them, cut the tops off, drill them out, and just like scatter them around on the back deck of the Priest to make them look like they've been fired. And basically, next thing to do is the 3 figures, which I won't spend too much time on. There, I've primed them up there. So it's going to basically just get block colours, washes, dry brushes, and that's it. And they're going to get fixed into position. So we're not far from completing this model now. As I said, all I'm going to do is finish off the figures. So I'll just quickly show where I'm up to with them. I've basically just base coated them, block the colours in. There we go. And I've given the faces a little wash with sort of red oil paint, like a ready rusty colour oil paint. Now what I'm going to do, I'll just show you what colours I actually used. So basically, not that one. I used that one for the tunic. It's Vallejo again, and for the trousers, US Field Drab, just to give a nice bit of contrast, a bit of black and a bit of flesh on there. So what I'm basically going to do, I'm going to give them a thin wash of Agrax Earthshade, just thin it down with water, just carefully pick out some folds and creases and stuff. Then a light dry brush, and I'm going to stick them in, and then we'll come back and we'll be finished. Right, so here we go. I've got the model completed. I've put the figures in, as you can see, and I've given it another quick splash of matte varnish there with the old airbrush. And I think we're quite happy with that. It's all complete and good to go on the display shelf. So my thoughts on the kit, well, obviously it's a nice, easy, straightforward kit by Matchbox. No issues, no problems really. Nice and simple, straightforward, easy to follow instructions. Tracks are usable if you can use a few of the tips that I've just explained in the video. Figures make it nice and dynamic. You've got a bit of imagination as well with the spent shell cartridges. You know, you can do bits and bobs with it. And it's quite an unusual 1/72 scale kit, a 76 scale kit, sorry. Like Matchbox is quite eclectic range. And the only issue I've probably got is the base is a bit weak. It's not the greatest, it's not the best, it's not really big enough. I've no idea what these are. I thought maybe they could be chopped up silver birch, so I would have done a different colour than that as I was thinking about it, but it could just look like stacked wood and another sort of like wooden trunks, but they've got some sort of banding around them. Again, one huge Allen key. Who knows? The worst thing about it, it doesn't really fit on the base. It sort of hangs over the side there. But otherwise, I can't really fault it. It's a lovely kit from Matchbox, as you'd expect. Goes great with the collection. What I'll do, I'll put some stills on my Instagram page of Creative Time Wasting, rather than just clogging up the back of the video with this. But otherwise, we'll just have a quick look at the side. And the sort of weathering looks pretty good on the back there. Again, I've got to do the exhaust, so I might do them before I take the photographs. The back deck's nicely detailed, or enough to make it look busy enough for this scale model. Again, that side looks pretty good. Transfers work down well. The front transmission cover has gone on quite well. Again, the transfers are a bit sort of not accurate. The 50 cal is all right. The interior is pretty well appointed, and like I say, with the 3 crew members, it gives us a nice dynamic feel and a very, very good model, and a nice one for the collection. So we'll leave it there. We'll move on to the next one, and thanks for watching, and we'll see you in a video sometime soon.